Hey everybody, it's Patrick from 3D Doodads. Here with a quick video on installing the software you need to print to your new Bambu A1 or A1 Mini printer. There, in fact, are four versions of the software. Um, One of them is called Bambu Handy, and it's available for either the iPhone running iOS or the Android phones. And then there's Bambu Studio, and there's both a Mac version of that and a Windows version of that. Today, I'm going to show you how to install the iPhone app or iOS app, the Macintosh app, the Windows app, and then how to get them connected to your printer and being able to print out a file. Okay, when you unpack your printer, right near the top, there should have been your quick start guide, a little white book. I think it's topped with some Bambu Lab stickers and this green card. And this card has QR codes for a getting started guide and taking you to their support center for joining them on Facebook and joining them on Twitter. The thing I want to point out is actually on the back of the card, they have two QR codes, one for iOS and one for Android, where you can just take your camera and read the QR code, and it will give you a direct link to the App Store app that's appropriate for those. Um, in case you don't have this card, what I thought I would do, you see up on the screen, I have my iPad, and I'm going to go ahead and launch the apps application and then just search for Bambu Handy. That's the name of the app. And actually, it comes up. I type in Bambu and Handy comes up. And you can see it here, and we can get that app. So it's going to download that app and install it onto my machine. There we go. And we can open that app. Oop. Um, it asks me all the apps when you first install them if it's going to make um, notifications, like when it's done printing, it can notify you in the app. And that second box that came up was it was asking if it could connect to local resources on the network. These are both permissions that you have to grant to each app when they try to use that resource. So since this app will try to go on the network, it has to ask for your permission, and then the iPad or iOS will allow the app to go out onto the local network. By local network, just so you know what that means, it means that it can address devices with IP addresses that are within your home network as opposed to ones that are out on the internet. Those are not blocked at all. And we can see here the app is up and running. And I'm going to select on devices. And we're going to configure this. Now I have my A1 here. I'm actually going to go ahead and turn it on. So I have my printer on because we're going to need to access some information on here, which I'll show you. You see on my iPad, it says bind your printer. And if we just lift up, we can bind your printer. And you can use an account to bind your printer with a mail and password if you already have that, or we can create a new account, or we can sign in with Google. I'm going to go ahead and create an account because I have not done that yet. And I'm going to call it Bambu. And of course, it's going to ask for a verification code. So I'll tell it to get a code. and I verified, and oop, oop. Now we're going to use the account we just created. And I'm going to sign in. And now we can add our printers. We'll add a printer. Oop. And I have ooh, Bambu Lab A1. Oop, I'm going to delete that. I'm filling out all of their little things. And so now we have our page. Okay, now that we've installed our app, created our Bambu account, it's time to actually link our iPad or iPhone, if that's your what you've installed on, to the printer. And as you saw, we click the bind to printer, and it's asking us to scan the QR code on the printer screen. What we do here is we come over to the printer and select settings and account, and you'll see it's coming up with a QR code. So ooh, we just have to uh, line up our, there we go. It found the printer. We confirm that we're binding, and there you go. So we have an account. So now we can name, I'm going to name our printer. You can see I can change the name of the printer. And that's how it will appear in the software everywhere else. So the device is idle. You can look at the status. There, because we now bound, we're actually seeing there's a firmware update for the printer. I'm going to go ahead and do that and say update, and it's going to update the printer. This is the kind of thing you're going to go through when you first get the printer. In my previous video, I showed you setting up the printer and using the menus to print a file that was already stored on the SD card on the printer. With the Bambu Handy app, we can send new files to the printer. Um, One of the things about using an account is then once I set up the Windows app and the Mac app, we can use the same account and they'll automatically be able to see the printer. I want to mention something just as a side note. And there are some discussions on this in forums and others about using the account and are you printing through the cloud and what have you. It's using the account setup to merely pass the setup information back and forth and to confirm you're a user. There's actually a second way where you can go in something called local LAN only mode. And when you do that, rather than you using a login on each of your machines, to tie those apps to the printer, there's a security code or a PIN code that the printer has, and you have to type it in to the into the Windows or the Mac app, and that allows you to connect without having an account at all. I'm using the accounts, which is the preferred way here for the setup, and I'll use the accounts for both the Windows and the Mac apps so you can see how that works. Um, you see it's still updating the firmware, um, but basically now we can use the Bambu Handy app to send print files. We can get the status of the printer, as you can see here. On the screen, it says the device is idle. If we were to print something, it would show you that, and you can actually see um, video. As there's a camera built into this as a printing, you can get a view of that camera from the Bambu app. Now, one of the unique things about having the phone apps and everything else is they can talk to the printer over the internet. So you could be sitting in a bar and your buddy is telling me, "Hey, could you print me out a couple of those dice things that you've made in the past, or these coasters?" You're in a bar, so we want to talk about coasters, and you can, if your plate's clear and you have the right filaments loaded, you could actually, from far away, send that print job and have it kicked off and it's printing so that when you get home, your print job is complete. We're almost done with our firmware update. And I thought when we are, just to show how this works, we'll do a quick print of the Benchy, which is the little tugboat. Or actually, there's some other files on here. Let's see what they are, if we can see them from the phone app, and print something else, because there's like scrapers and there's other tools. The In my initial video, I showed the little handles for the Allen wrenches. Um, those are preloaded onto this, and of course, you can print those from the menu here, and you see it printed successfully. And there, we could print a file from here, but let's see if we can print a file from here. Looking at the app, you'll notice there's Maker Lab, which is something that Bambu sponsors. You can go find models to print and you could download them directly and print them. I want to try, okay, I'm going to press the play key. You see the blank screen in here, and that's a picture from the camera. I'm waving my finger in front of it. It's right there on the side of the horizontal bar where the print head moves back and forth. In fact, I'll move that out of the way, and that's where the print head is. I mean, the camera is. And let's see about. We can look at the contents of the SD card in here. Ah, this is something I've been printing, is these 5 1/4 inch disk storage boxes. One of the things that happens is everything you print to the printer, a copy of that print actually gets stored on the SD card. So even after you send it through either Bambu Handy or Bambu Studio on the Windows or Mac, that print file is stored, and you might say cached locally, so that you can just use the machine standalone and print out another copy. So you can see here I'm searching for a new item to print. One of the things is coming off on this side of the printer, that side of the printer, is what they call poop, which is as the printer changes colors or it warms up for a new job, it will put out a little strand of plastic. Um, and rather than having it drop all over your table, you can print a box to catch it in. And as we can see, there are a ton of these. Oh, I like this one, but I'm gonna take a look at that. So here we have something we can prepare to print. We tell it what model of printer we have. It gives us details about and again, it wants PLA. So I'm going to see, we're going to print to BRD. Okay. Enable EMS. I'm going to print it in, actually, let's print it in white. And we're going to start the print. And it's sending the job directly from this. And now you see it over here on the printer. It's downloading the print file. And we're getting status on our iPad to show it printing. And very shortly, we're going to see the printer kick up. It's going to warm the bed. It's obviously going to warm the nozzle. I just saw the camera has clicked on, and that sound says it's getting ready to start the print. Okay, you can see the printer starting up, and I wanted to point out in the box up at the top, it tells you what it's doing. Right now, it's changing the filament because whatever color was loaded is not the color I selected for this job. Um, it constantly updates you with where it is in the process. And also, you notice the camera is on. So we can watch the progress of this print. And in fact, because your iPad or iPhone or your Android phone is wireless, uh, we could leave the room or leave our shop and still get a look at what's going on with this particular print job. At the bottom of the Bambu Handy screen, you can see how many layers are in this print job, how much time is remaining. It's just started printing layer one, as you can see, and we've got about 2.5 hours to go for the full job to be completed. Um, just a note, I've sped this up about 7 times because I just wanted to show you kicking through the processes. I'm not going to show the entire print job because even sped up as much as I did, it would still be 20 minutes of us staring at the printer going back and forth. Um, I've cut this at the end of the second layer, so which actually we should be getting to pretty quickly. Now you can from the app also stop the job or pause the job in case you did see something wrong and you wanted to take corrective action. And we're on to layer two. Okay, now we've printed that job from our iPhone, or in my case, my iPad, and it's the Bambu A1 poop box, and I've actually put some poop in here so you can see what it looks like. And that particular box is whenever the printer changes colors or starts a new job, it squirts out a little bit of filament, and this catches that falling off of our deflector here. So that job's done. Our next step is to install the client software for the Macintosh and Windows. I'm going to start with the Macintosh and how to set that up and connect it to our printer. Okay, now let's proceed to get our Mac printing to the Bambu A1, I'm going to install their app, which is called Bambu Studio for Mac and PC. And you can see I went to the Bambu Lab site, and we can just click on software, and we can see Bambu Studio. And you see both the currently fully supported released Windows and Mac apps, and there are beta apps if you want to have the very latest. I'm going to click on the supported one and we'll download it. We see it's coming up in Chrome, and then I can just click on that, and you'll see here a window pops open. The way Macs work is applications are stored in a disk image, and an application bundle is just all one icon, and they even give you a handy shortcut to your application folder. And you can see it's installing Bambu Studio. And once that's done, I can actually go ahead and close off of this, and I can even close our Chrome window. And you can, this is that disk image, you can eject that and get rid of it, and you can actually delete that because you could always reinstall it just by going right back to Bambu Lab website. And we get a little warning since this app has never been opened before. Apple's just saying, hey, do you really want to open this up? Which we do. And here you see Bambu Studio is loaded. First thing we want to do is log in and register. And I'll put in my password. We'll accept their terms. And the first time you log in, um, the application will generate an email and send a verification code to just confirm that it's really you. And there we go. Oh. And now if we go over to device, we can see our BR 3D printer that we had connected through Bambu Handy. Because we're using the account login process, it's automatically shared all that data, and we could actually bring up a project if we wanted to, um, you know, load a file. And I have one here. And I could send this right now to the printer. And in fact, it's already loaded up all the colors and filament options that I have in my AMS. And if I simply slice this plate and then printed it, it would start printing to the printer on the right. Okay, now we're going to install the Windows version of the Bambu Studio app. As you can see, I've brought up the Bambu website. We can click on Bambu Studio. We get the same Windows Mac options and beta and current released. And I'll start the download on the Windows version. You can see it's already done. We'll click here to open up our download. We'll say yes. And it will guide us through the installation. Now, installation on Windows is a little bit different than it is on the Mac. On the Mac, we just had to copy what looked like one file into our applications folder. That file is sort of like a zip file. It actually has a whole bunch of smaller files in it, just like you have on Windows. But on Windows, it has to put them in different folders, and it also has to set up registry settings, etc. So the installation does take a little bit more time. And actually, part of the speed difference is because it's outputting all of this text to the screen, that actually slows down the install substantially. That's why when you're copying files on Windows, you get the option to see the details or not, because it will speed up the process if you're not showing all of that text going back and forth. So it's doing the last piece of the install, and now we're done. Last bit is to run it, and it'll also associate the files, the STL and 3MF files that you use to build models with Bambu Studio. And once it's done those, you can see here it's loading it for the first time. Um, on this, and I don't remember this happened on the Mac, on the Windows, when you run it for the first time, it lets you tell it what kind of printers you have, what kind of filament profiles you want to load, etc. Um, so we'll see that come up, and I'm going to since I only have an A1, I'll deselect all the other printers. Here you go, setup Windows. We're in North America. I'm not going to join the program right now. So you can see here it's got all the printers. Let me clear all and then just come down here to the Bambu Lab A1. Scroll up so you can see the picture. And I have both the 0.4 and the 0.6 nozzle. I'm going to do a video in the future comparing those both. I'm going to go ahead and select all filaments. Now it's installing what they call a network plugin. That's so you can print over the network to the printer. And we're done. Now, just like on the Mac, you see we could do a login register and we could, okay. There was an update for Bambu Studio. Um, just like on the Mac, we can log in, register, and use our account to connect to our printer over here. Just to show you how you can do it the other way. That if you don't want to have an account with Bambu Lab, or you somehow think stuff's going over the internet and you want it local, there is another way, and that is something called LAN only mode. And you have to change something on the printer, and I'm going to show you over here in our settings. You can see right here at the bottom, LAN only mode off. Now, when I'm going to turn it on, and here you go, it's on, and then you can see here it's displaying an access code and its IP address. When you go into LAN only mode, now you can connect to the printer without having to have any account. Now, the thing to note is, and we'll be going back and changing this later, is when you go into LAN only mode, you've now you saw that account name there for a second. Now it says disabled. What that means is my Bambu Handy app on the phone or on the iPad and my Mac, which are set for an account, are no longer going to be able to see the printer. Everybody has to be in LAN only mode. So we'll want to change that back um, later, but I just wanted to show you how you get to LAN only mode. So once you've done that, we're not going to log in. We're going to go to device, and you can say have no printer, and I'm going to bring up, and it actually sees my BR3D, but you see it locked. So that network tool it installed allowed it to see the printer, and now we just have to put in the access code. confirm, and there we are. And you see it sees the printer, and I can actually look to see what's. Oh, you can't on LAN only mode. You can't browse the SD card. Well, that's interesting. Um, so that's what LAN only mode does. Is it allows you to print directly to the printer. And in fact, if we wanted to bring up a file, I could dump it there. Um, since I really don't want to stay in this mode, because as I said, you I now wouldn't be able to print from my other devices. To switch back, we can simply go back here to setup. We'll turn LAN only mode off. And now what we have to do is come back here to account. And you see it's now bringing up the um, little QR code on the screen. And all we have to do is bring up our phone with our Bambu Handy and say devices. So now we take our phone with our Bambu Handy app, and you can see when I bring it up, it's asking me to scan the QR code, and I got to select bind printer, get the code in range. There we go. I read and accept the terms, confirm binding. So now it's set. It's put our account back in there. And since I've done that, and in fact, you'll see it's even showing a picture of the A1. Since we've done that, and now you see over on our screen, it says no printer again. Because it's now out of LAN only mode, it can't see a printer. So we'll now do the login we did before. Agree to the terms, log in, and it's asking me for a verification code because it's the first time we've logged in on the Windows machine. And it's the same thing we saw on the Mac. It asks me if I want to sync my data using Bambu Cloud. I actually do. That way, if I do something on the Mac or on Windows, changing my settings or preferences, it'll move them back and forth. So you can see the user's on. Now I can go to device, and there's our BR3D, and it's connected. There's our lab. Let me turn on the camera on the side of the, and there you can, it actually is showing me, and there is a firmware update, which we can do from here, etc. So that's the Windows app. It's talking to our printer. Our Mac is talking to our printer. And both my iPhone and iPad have the Bambu Handy app, and they can send print jobs to the printer as well. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up. We'd love you to subscribe to our channel uh, so that you get notified of new videos that we'll post. And also, we're an Amazon affiliate. There's a link down in the description for some of the things we use or filaments we buy from them or what have you. We get a little bit back from Amazon, help support the channel. Doesn't cost you anything. So if you could use those links, we'd really appreciate it.